In today's video, we're taking a huge look here at the tropics. As you can see, we've seen two of these potential tropical cyclones actually develop here. We do have Tropical Storm Emily now here in the main development region, which we will take a look at the cone forecast in just a little bit. Same story here for Tropical Depression 6. We may see this develop into a next named storm. We may not. So we're going to take a look at the cone forecast for that one. And we'll just be taking an overview look at all three of the other areas of development, as well as Hurricane Hilary still in the Pacific, about to impact areas like California and such. Now, we will be going over the overall pattern also, just for the entire United States. So storminess, total precipitation, temperatures, we'll go over all of that in just a moment. Be sure to check out Prestige Weather in the description and pinned comment down below. It's only $5 a month. We do our early access to seasonal and monthly forecasts. We also do a lot of forecasts over there in our community. So we do written forecasts every Sunday there for every single region in the United States. So lots of cool features over there. Be sure to check it out again in the pinned comment and description. Now, as we get into these tropics, before we get into the cone forecast, I want to focus on all three of these other areas of potential development. We do see a 50-50 shot over the next 7 days here in the Gulf of Mexico at seeing tropical formation there. We do see a 30% chance over the next 48 hours or 2 days, in other words, so that will be something to watch for as well. Now, as we take a look at the Southern Caribbean, we see a northern turning system here. This one actually has a 70% chance of development over the next 48 hours, and then an 80% chance of development over the next 7 days, so an extremely high chance that we do see this one develop as well, and potentially actually impact Dominican Republic or Haiti or even Puerto Rico there. So lots of potential impacts there in the Caribbean. Now we also see this main development region, next kind of tropical wave here. This one has a 10% chance of development over the next 48 hours, and then a 50% chance over the next 7 days. Now, somebody commented this and reminded me, but we were just talking about maybe about a week ago or maybe a little bit more about how we really saw quiet tropics. There was days and days of basically no chance of development, and I kept talking about how I thought the light switch was just going to get turned on and we would see this really turn around, and sure enough, that is exactly what we've seen happen here. So very interesting to say the least. Now, as we take a look at these cone forecasts, this first one is Tropical Depression 6. We do see this one is expected to remain kind of a tropical depression, and then very quickly by 8 a.m. tomorrow, kind of downgrade into a post-tropical depression there. So this one is not expected to hit tropical storm status, although it is extremely close already at 35 miles per hour. We could see this one quickly flip into the tropical storm status here shortly. Just because it's only 5 mile per hour away or so. So if we see any sort of development continue with this one, we could see it briefly become a tropical storm, which wouldn't really be impactful for anybody, but it would get us one name further into the named storm list, which when you're looking historically at hurricane seasons would be a big deal. So that would definitely be interesting to see happen. We'll have to wait and see if that does end up occurring. Now we're flipping back to the Pacific, and then we're going to flip back to the Atlantic here. Actually, you know what? Let's take a look at this one first. I don't want to do all that. We see this one's expected to remain a tropical storm and then become a post-tropical depression there and remain so until about Friday. And that's as far as we get here. But this one's going to take a very sharp northern turn, and really Tropical Storm Emily here is not expected to impact any land at this point unless we see a dramatic shift westward. And then even then maybe Bermuda would be at risk, but that would be such a dramatic change in our projection here from the National Hurricane Center that is like a 1% chance or less. So most likely we're going to see this one take a very sharp northern turn way before Bermuda and not really impact anybody. But again, we did get a named storm out of it, so historically speaking, this is a pretty big deal. Now we will flip to the Pacific, and we can see this one is expected to remain a hurricane until about 6 a.m. on Sunday or 6 p.m. on Sunday, sometime today, later in the day. And we can tell that, actually, is this an old forecast? Let me refresh that. There we go. Perfect. So that was old. I was like, that looks exactly the same as yesterday. So already this is just Tropical Storm Hilary. I don't know what I'm on about today, guys. We do see tropical storm warnings all over the place for Mexico, all along that California Bay there, and for the coast of Southern California. This one is going to track awfully close to a lot of those cities in Southern California. and bring dramatic impacts to those areas as far as windiness, storminess, things that they are not that accustomed to. This is a truly historic storm. The rainfall impacts will be historic, and really there's no way to downplay it. This one is going to be a very, very dramatic storm for these areas. So let's just roll through actually with this kind of storminess. And as you can see, by the time we're getting to this afternoon, so just later today, we could see that we have heavy rainfall for a lot of the west as a result of Tropical Storm Hilary. For basically the southern half of California, a majority of Nevada there, a lot of Idaho and Montana also involved here, and then some of those other states like Arizona and Utah and Oregon are also getting some of the impacts from this, some raininess to say the least. And really, we're not seeing much else to the east here. We can see from the Rockies eastward, there is not a whole lot happening here today on Sunday the 20th. Now for Monday, here on the 21st, what we end up seeing, Hilary is now dissipated by this point. We do see a bit of a precipitation field here, to say the least. I don't know how associated this is up here to the north, but really for this whole western corridor, we can see the storm has dissipated and really spread out with that precipitation. So we're seeing a lot for California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, Idaho, Oregon, a little bit of Washington, and still up into Montana as well. So certainly seeing a lot of states being impacted by this specific storm. By Tuesday, we're almost said and done with the entire thing. We do see plenty of precipitation as a result of this entire system. So for a lot of Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, Utah, Arizona, Nevada there, we're seeing tons of storminess as a result of this. It is scattered about, but it will bring a lot of precipitation with it. We do see this kind of tropical disturbance starting to ramp up here in the Pacific, or in the Gulf of Mexico. I don't know why I said Pacific, but really not developing here according to the European model, and it never really has. So this isn't a big change from what we've been seeing. By Wednesday, we could see that a lot of the storminess in the west has lifted off into a majority into Canada here, western Canada. And then we could see a little bit of precipitation here for portions of northern Mexico and southern Texas there. Very, very interesting stuff here. As we keep going towards Thursday, the 24th now, we can see that a lot of the west here is seeing some thunderstorms flare up, some more monsoon activity perhaps. We do see an area in the mid-Atlantic and Ohio Valley here where we do see some precipitation as well, some thunderstorms taking place. Let's just keep going towards Friday the 25th. We do see a little bit of a tropical system here to the north of Dominican Republic there, but it's only 1,004. It does have a pretty large precipitation field with it, but really not developing too much according to this European model. We see a wide swath of just kind of scattered about activity happening here, all the way from the northwest coast to the northeast coast, so we can spread it coast to coast here. This goes for both southern Canada and northern United States. Very, very wide stretching area of precipitation there by Friday. For Saturday, we see a lot of the western end has dried up, but we still see this kind of pocket of storms all the way from just east of the Rockies to the northeast. Speaking of the northeast and mid-Atlantic, we do have a kind of heavier and more persistent area of precipitation there. All the way from the Delmarva northward through New England, we are seeing some heavier thunderstorms taking place there on Saturday the 26th. Now, Sunday the 27th, we see a similar situation, still seeing a lot of storms all the way from the Carolinas up to the northeast there, a little bit quieter out west. Another quieter day here on Monday the 28th, but still we see this kind of pocket for the Gulf and East Coast mostly of some thunderstorms. Mostly three areas, Texas and Oklahoma, as well as Arkansas there, the southeast and then the northeast, but they're all kind of connected in a way. And then for Tuesday the 29th, we see something trying to come together here for the southeast, perhaps a more significant storm system developing. Only time will truly be able to tell. But this does look like it could bring some significant thunderstorms all the way from Texas eastward through North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. So we'll be watching for that as well later on in the pattern as we're reaching the end of August into the beginning of September. Now, for total precipitation, we're seeing less of a dry pocket than we've been seeing in some model runs because we're seeing activity pick up, but you can still see a drier pocket here, a drier pocket here as well, where the precipitation kind of just wants to avoid these areas, kind of just to pinpoint some above average areas. We see Hilary's impact here, bringing far above average precipitation for these areas, all the way from the plains down through, this is going to be a weird shape here, guys, this is going to be wild, but we can see a lot of heavier precipitation as a result of multiple storms moving through these areas as well. Also some tropical impacts down here for southern Texas, northern Mexico, like we were talking about. So with all of this in mind, let's just go through the numbers. The whites is going to be practically no precipitation. Grays will be about 1/10 of an inch or less. Greens are 1/10 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. Blues are 1/2 an inch to an inch. Your yellows are 1 inch to 2 inches. Reds are 2 to 5 inches there, which is certainly above average for almost everywhere that has that. And then the browns plus are going to be 5 to 10 inches plus, and we do see a couple of pockets of that. One here is very small for eastern Oklahoma. One here for the Carolinas, as you can see. See that pocket there, and then one here for a bit of New England that already has seen a very, very wet summer. We're going to continue to, basically the rich get richer here in this situation. And those are going to be the areas that we're watching for the most significant rainfall here. As we just transition here into the temperature pattern, we can see some cooler temperatures in the east, but very quickly we move into a kind of a classic negative PNA pattern. We see cooler temps develop here, warmer air surging into the central and eastern states right here. And that is classic negative PNA look, to say the least. And this continues for quite a while. We see by the 24th, we see a similar situation. We really don't see any big changes until after the 25th here. So quite a few days from now, 5 days or so, we begin to see a flip. And what we see by this point is still a neutral PNA, I would say at best. But we do see cooler temperatures returning to the east here, which certainly is indicative of more of a neutral or negative PNA, which stands for Pacific North American Oscillation, by the way. And then later on by early September, look at this. We see cooler temperatures returning to the west. And then immediately when we see this happen, we see the warmth surging and moving eastward. So that could indicate a warmer early portion of September. Although this is very far out and only time we'll be able to tell. We will keep you guys up to date with this, but still very interesting to say the least. Now, be sure to subscribe. We do upload videos just like this one every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.